Hi guys, Dennis here from Diddy Bob's RC. Hey, working on the Bruder Linde HT160. This is probably not going to be the final video, but I'm nearing the end. I have all the lights wired and everything, but I'm waiting for parts, and I'll have to tear it back apart again to install my auxiliary switch and whatnot to do that. But it is fully functional, and barring I want to add some weight to it so that I can actually pick up some larger loads and whatnot, I'm nearing the completion. So I'll show you what we got, and here we go. Yeah, I know some of these videos get kind of long and boring and whatnot, but we're going to give it a shot here. But I'm liking how everything kind of turned out, though. Everything kind of turned out kind of nice to get it to at least to this point. Let me get this kind of situated and get the battery in here. And get that latch down. Now I just simply have just an amber beacon that just flashes. I went away from the 3-wire one that I could switch channels on. Sometimes I think them cheap things give me glitches in the system and whatnot. But now this is two pallets. These are actual concrete blocks. They're not plastic, lightweight. Yeah, the boom had a little bit of a bow there. That's quite a bit of weight, though, when you think about it. This is just plastic, guys, so. I'm going to double check. Yep. The ropes have came that are supposed to guide this up and down came off, and we're not where they're supposed to be. Yeah. But okay, that's all right. Things happen sometimes, but you got the gist of it. I mean, it's fully functional. I do have a couple of lights here and here, and then I did put a couple of red lights back here and a couple of white lights, and they'll be on an auxiliary switch. And basically, I just got to pull the cab back off. Oop, lens fell out. I'm gonna have to glue them in. I've bought these lights before, and the lenses always seem to pop out, but they don't snap in very good. I might try some different lights too, who knows. No, I probably won't, because I've already pretty much got these permanently mounted. But overall, turned out pretty clean on in the inside of here. This is a 4200 120C 3S LiPo battery, so a lot of playtime with that. I got that to fit. You can run a smaller one in if you wanted to, but everything kind of, I think, turned out pretty clean. The underside of it, I did actually go in and make a plate here to kind of cover everything up, and this is the plate that the motor is mounted on, and that's all solid. My servo mounts and everything are on the inside for the steering. The differentials seems to be working. I did not hook up the differential lock, but if I wanted to, I could actually have this differential locking on here. I don't know as though I'd ever need it, because this will probably won't be a whole lot of off-roading with it. But one of the things I did do is these are the factory mounts. Let's see, I gotta get it in the center. And they'll snap out. I did actually make some aluminum forks for it. The stock plastic ones are too thick. Because they're plastic, they're so thick that I couldn't get them into the pallets that I have. And with just about everything I have ever done that's got pallet forks or forklift or skid loader, I've always had to make my own thinner. This just 1/8 inch aluminum is what it is. I bent it at a 90 degree and drilled and countersunk some bolts into it, and they're screwed into the original mounts. The one thing I will say about this plastic boom, when I was getting up quite a ways, it started flexing when I don't know how much weight this is, maybe 5 pounds, maybe 5, 6, 7 pounds, maybe at the most. But these are actually, they are concrete blocks. They're not 3D printed plastic. So it's kind of a heavy load. Not that I would probably ever be carrying 2 of them around for any reason. Probably just do 1 at a time, and then it'd be fine. But I was getting a lot of flex in the boom. I don't know if you've seen it in the video or not, but when I was getting towards the end, this whole boom was really flexing pretty good, and that's what I think caused these ropes. And I'm gonna have to be careful, because these ropes, they are just simply I don't know if you can see in here, it's just basically a nylon rope with like a ball that's glued to the end. So I could see getting too much of a load on it, pulling those cables loose. Granted, it'll still somewhat function, but no, it probably wouldn't without these cables on there. That's what I've talked about in the past, is maybe finding some small chain and some idler sprockets, or make rollers for the chain to roll across and do this. But this boom itself, then you're still working with a plastic boom. Or I keep calling it a boom. Doggone it, it's a mast. The mast is plastic. So you've got certain limitations to doing this RC conversion with using the plastic. I think there's another guy named John. He's actually did one where he made a whole steel chassis, and a metal chassis and a metal boom and everything, and just used the sheet metal on his, and that looked really good, and it's got a lot of power. This one, I kind of started out with a plastic toy, and I kind of kept it that way. It does have a framework underneath it and everything that's metal. But like that project, I started that, this project 2 years ago, and that's where I started. So I kind of built off of where I was when I started it back then. So I just kind of continued to build on. One thing I am going to do, I think, to kind of help it a little bit, and if I stick with one load, it's going to be fine. But with 2, if I were to drive it around a little bit, the back end does get light. And there was a factory hitch that snaps into place here. I'm going to actually think if I can make some kind of a counterweight to hang back here. Make something that looks decent. Maybe make it out of brass so that it's solid and heavy. If I could make some kind of a container and put lead shot in it or steel BBs or something, maybe something like that. I haven't really decided yet. Don't know how much I'll actually use it, you know. For right now, I've got 2 skid loaders that have pallet forks. I have an actual hydraulic forklift, and I also have the Klaus Scorpion that's made by JD Models, that has pallet forks on it. So I have multiple options for moving palletized material. But this project, when these first came out, I probably was one of the first ones to have one, and I started that conversion, and then I just kind of dropped the ball on it. I got to a point where I was not comfortable, so I stopped. But I'm kind of glad I re-entered into it and have kind of got it finished. But it's not really truly finished yet. I may want to change the rim color yet. I haven't decided, you know. I want to get in here, maybe take this linear actuator out of here and paint this silver part black so it's not so noticeable, or just leave it as it is and I don't care, you know. A lot of the RC stuff you build and do, it's never really done. You're always trying to find ways of doing some modifications and whatnot to them. So, but yeah, I'll get that auxiliary switch, and then I'll have to pull the cab back off, and everything kind of still snaps together. I had a little malfunction and some glitches with it last night, and I got mad and tore it apart pretty angrily, and broke a bunch of tabs on some of the stuff that snaps in. So now I've got a couple of screws holding this back plate on. It snaps in the bottom yet, but put a couple of M3 bolts down through and bolts that on solid now. And everything's kind of loose now that nothing really snaps tight together anymore. But I may go in through from the bottom, put like a screw on each side on these side sheets to kind of, you know, hold them a little more solid. And yeah, I wouldn't grab this thing by the cab and grab it, because that stuff's all just kind of snapped in place, and it now, with all the other metal parts that I put into it, it's kind of heavy. I always, no matter what models, I always like to pick them up from the bottom. Pick them up from the bottom. Don't grab them by the cab or grab them here. Always grab them from the bottom and pick them up. And but overall, that's what it is so far. I think this is video 6 of it that I've done this week. And I'm going to call it done for now until I get my other auxiliary light switch in, and then I'll get my lights all working, and hopefully I don't get any glitches after I do that. But that's one of the reasons I took and removed that cheap, they're kind of a blue aluminum with an amber, and I never used to have issues with them, but I also had an auxiliary light switch. I think it's a Apex light switch. I've bought like 50 of these things. This one's broke because I got angry and pulled it apart, but this can all be, it's junk anyway. Causing all kinds of glitches. Last night when I was driving it around, the lights were turning themselves off and on by themselves. And this one actually draws juice through the receiver to run the lights. I've got a different one coming, a couple of them, that actually plug into power, have power in and power out, and it's more like a relay. It's not using the receiver power to run the lights. So I will actually, all these light bulbs that I use are 12 volt. So I can run my 3S LiPo right directly through that relay and power the lights. And I think my glitches will kind of go away then, But I've been having trouble with the cheap. They're not really cheap either, but the cheaper rotary beacons. I know there's some companies out there that make some better quality rotary beacons, but they're $25, $30 for a beacon. And it's hard to justify some of the prices on some of this stuff. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. I'm glad I revisited it. I know there's some guys out there that actually took and put some N20 motors with threads and have these so that they can do it from the radio. But they have a 3D printed box in here with those motors in them, and it can be done from the radio, which is cool. I'm not going to go to that extent on this unit. I'm going to consider myself lucky I got this far. Other than wanting to add a little more weight, maybe do some bracing or kind of reinforce the original boom, or go back and design my own. But for now, I'm going to call it good and be happy with it. So sorry I get a little long-winded and try to talk maybe just a little too much. And it's like when I look at a lot of my YouTube videos, guys, nobody ever makes it to the end. Well, I'm sure there are some guys that make it to the end, but as a YouTube creator and content, I can go in and I can look and see how much time is actually watched on average for each and every of my videos. And when I do a 15 or 20 minute video, 4 minutes is the max, 4 to 5 minutes max of what everybody watches. And I'm like, how do you learn by only watching half of the video and not watch it to the end? But it is what it is, because I get long-winded and people get bored. And some people have the attention spans of 2-year-olds. So it is what it is, So anyway, you guys have to let me know what you think of my progress so far. I'm pretty happy with it at this time. And go out and have some fun with RCs and get creative. Catch you guys later.